Hi, this is Scott Dudley, and welcome to Funnel Fella Radio. And today we're up to podcast episode number 22, and we're going to be talking about testimonial graffiti on order pages. So, what is testimonial graffiti? Well, let's just start off by saying that it's not rocket science that an order form will convert better with testimonials compared to no testimonials. That is obvious. And of course, it's hard to imagine an order page getting a better conversion rate if testimonials were removed from an order page. Even so, here's an interesting test that Russell Brunson did, which was featured in his book, 108 Proven Split Test Winners. And if we take a look at the test, what they're selling here is supplements. So on the left-hand side of the page, there is three options for the supplements. The first option is a trial bottle, the second option is a 1 month supply, and then the third option is a 4 month supply. So you need to check the box or tick the box as to which one you want to choose and purchase. And then on the right-hand side is where you input your purchase information or your credit card information, and then you've got the order now button. So on the original page, for some weird reason, which really doesn't make sense to me, especially considering that these guys are like well-known experts at on funnels, underneath the order now button, there's quite a large blank space where there's nothing there. It's just blank yellow background, and it's probably about roughly a third of the size of the page above the fold. It's quite a large area, and it does look odd having nothing in there. So eventually they realized that instead of just having this blank space, that it'd be much better to put some testimonials on the page, because beforehand there was zero testimonials. So basically zero proof other than some security seals or badges down the bottom here. So anyway, what they did was they then added in three text testimonials directly underneath the order now button. And it's not surprising to find out that the result of this test was that the conversion rate jumped from 14% with no testimonials and the blank space to 21% after they added the testimonials, which is a very nice lift of 44% in conversions. All right, so I realize this is nothing earth-shattering. However, it is a good introduction to what I really wanted to show you today, which is a feature in ClickFunnels that not many people actually know about. And it's highly related to having social proof on your order forms. And it's a feature that's called Digital Table Rush. And this is built into ClickFunnels, and it really is perfect to use to show off social proof that other people are purchasing from you. Not only that, but it's also super easy to turn on, and once it's enabled, it will display notifications on the bottom left-hand side of customers who have purchased previously from the funnel, and it shows their name and when they purchased. So I'm aware that there's other plugins available on the market, but if you're using ClickFunnels and if you're selling products instead of just doing lead generation, then this is something that you really should be using or at least having a look at. And these proof notifications, when they show up, it makes you look much more like a real company that you can trust. That's the whole point of it. Exactly the same principle as having the testimonials on the page. So I'm going to jump into ClickFunnels quickly now and show you how to set this up. Obviously, if you're listening to this on the podcast or the audio version, then it's probably not going to make a great deal of sense. But I would recommend then that you would, I'll provide the link where you can actually see this on the video. So what you want to do is go to your order page, and then on the order page, you go to the publishing tab. And then on the publishing tab, below the funnel step name and the path, there is this thing called Digital Table Rush. Okay. And by default, it is obviously disabled. However, if you're ready to turn it on, obviously you need to have sales previously in the funnel. Otherwise, it won't show anything. But as long as you have sales, which I do, even though in this case these are test purchases, if we just go to all time, then there's quite a few purchases here. So if we jump back to the order form and then go back to the publishing tab, and then we enable the digital table rush, click on update funnel step, and then just to go back to the publishing tab, you'll see that digital table rush is enabled. All right, now we're probably going to need to refresh our cache, but what I'll just do is go to incognito mode with a private browser, and let's just test out this order form. And hopefully we should be able to see the proof elements show up here on the left hand side. So it may take, actually, it may not come up straight away. It may take like a few minutes, I don't know, 5 minutes or 10 minutes for these to actually start appearing. I'm just going to pause the video or pause the podcast, and then we'll jump back into this once these are actually displaying. Hold on a sec. All right, so I'm back, and I found out the reason why it wasn't showing up anything, and that's because it will only show up the purchases after you have enabled the feature. So any previous purchases that you set up in the, or that you've, sorry, any previous purchases that you've got in the system, they won't show before the feature is enabled. So what I've done is I've just done a test purchase, and if we now, actually if we look at the sales here, you'll see there's a couple of purchases here that I've just made, test purchases. And if we grab the URL of the funnel, and then look at the bottom left hand side, there you go, test from Testville, bought product name less than a minute ago. So obviously the more sales that you have, then that will just keep popping up with notifications of sales that you've made. Because I've only done the one test purchase here, then that's why it's only just showing up the one sale. The more sales you get flowing through, then yeah, that will just keep scrolling down, and it will just keep showing all of the people that have purchased since you have enabled the feature. So obviously that is a huge help as far as trust goes. When people see that, they think, oh, okay, so I'm not the first person to purchase from here. This is obviously a real company. And the more of these that they see, then the more it's going to sort of build that trust and rapport and increase the confidence that, you know, that they're not going to get scammed or ripped off, which is hugely important. So if you're not using this, and if you're using ClickFunnels, then I would highly recommend that you give it a go. Just make sure too that if you are doing test purchases, that you turn the feature off, because the last thing that you want is, you know, for strange names that are obviously test purchases showing up, because then that will give you the reverse effect where it will reduce your credibility rather than increase it. So this is just an example here that I've showed you for the purposes of this podcast. But if you're doing this in your account, make sure that you don't do test purchases that are going to show up here, because as I've said, it will do more harm than good. All right, but anyway, that's pretty much all I've got for today. Make sure you're adding lots of testimonials on your order forms. Video testimonials are even better if possible. And if you're using ClickFunnels, then make sure you add this digital table rush. Or if you're not using ClickFunnels, then make sure that you're using something else similar that will display previous purchases on little notification messages on the order form, because it's great for social proof and for confidence. Anyway, that's pretty much all I've got for today. Hopefully you got some value from that. I'll catch up with you in the next episode of the podcast. Bye for now.